Hey guys, welcome to Tabletop Warbands! In today's video we play Kill Team with the Exactant squad against the Ork Kommandos. I'm Simone and I'll play the Arbites.
Hi, I'm Andrea and I will play the Orks. Before we start, if you are subscribed to the channel, welcome back. If you are not subscribed yet and want to help us, join our growing community now by clicking on the subscribe button. And don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss the next battle reports. Thank you guys!
Today's mission is Recover Archives, the two kill teams will have to deploy within these areas. There are 6 points of interest and they are arranged in this way. The attacker will be able to carry out the action Recover Archives on the consoles to score victory points. Furthermore, only the attacker will be able to place explosive charges on the walls.
The attacker will have to secretly choose 3 points of interest between the control lecterns, the relay stations, and the augur displays, and can only choose each console type once. The consoles chosen will be revealed when the attacker performs the action Recover Archives. This action can only be done once per console. The victory points will be assigned at the end of the battle. The defender will start with 12 victory points and the attacker with 0. Each time the mission action is performed, the attacker will gain 4 victory points and reduce those of the defender by 4.
A squad of Adeptus Arbites has been tasked with protecting extremely sensitive data from the clutches of a group of Ork Kommandos. The problem is that the Imperials are unaware of what specific information the Orks are looking for, so they will have to try to protect all their databases from the Greenskin raid. The team leader is an Arbites Proctor Exactant, armed with a combat shotgun and a Repression Baton. The second in command is the Revelatum, ready to take command should the need arise. 2 Arbites gunners are the team's heavy support. One is armed with a grenade launcher, the other is equipped with a Weber. To keep the team under control and punish those who break the rules, there is the Castigator. This model is wonderful. Then there is the Malocator who takes care of communications, and the Marksman to offer support from the rear. The unit also has a Leashmaster and his trusty RVR Cyber-Mastiff, in case they need to track enemies. And finally we have 2 Subductors with their shields, the first line of defense of the team. As equipment, I gave a reinforced Mirror-Visor and Manacles to both Subductors, and more Manacles to the Revelatum and Malocator.
The Orks are running out of spare parts for their magnificent racing cars, and they absolutely need to find more. A team has been sent to an Imperial base to find the location of the Astra Militarum warehouses in order to raid them. The key team is composed of 11 operatives. The leader is an op armed with Power Claw and Slug. Then we have the Rocket Boy and the Sniper Boy to eliminate the enemies from afar, the Slasher Boy and the Breacher Boy that excel in melee combat, and the Burner Boy that wants to set everything on fire. Then we have a Daka Boy and a Commando Boy. To support the team, we have a Comms Boy, a Sneaky Grot, and the most important operative, a Squeak Bomb. As additional equipment, I assign smoke grenades to the Knob, the Comms Boy, and the Slasher Boy.
Since I can place 2 hatchway jammers, I place one on the door of the room on the left and one on the door of the room on the right. In this way, Andrea will necessarily have to pass through the center. Not being able to know which objectives the Orks will choose, I have placed my models in 2 teams. On the left, the Leashmaster and his Mastiff control the objective and the door leading to the other team, while the Revelatum, a Subductor, and the Gunner with the Weber are ready to defend the room next door. On the right, the leader is accompanied by a Subductor, the Grenade Launcher, the Malocator, and the Sniper. They will have to defend the upper room and at the same time control the entrance on the right to avoid possible flanking.
I deployed my operatives in front of the entrance of the central sector. From there, I will have access to every single room in the map. On the left, we have the Squeak Bomb accompanied by the Slasher Boy, the Burner Boy, and the Commando Boy, while on the right side there's the rest of the team waiting for the battle to begin.
It's time to do the scouting phase. Each of us chooses a number of dice equal to the corresponding number of the choice, 1 for Fortify, 2 for Infiltrate and 3 for Recon. Red dice for the Arbites and green dice for the Orks. I chose Fortify while Andrea chose Recon. Following the mission rules, the initiative will be with the attacker, in this case the Orks. The defender initiates the scouting action, then I place a barrier here to block the passage. Then I use a command point for Long Arm of the Emperor's Law, which allows me to prevent the Orks from performing their scouting action.
Since I can't do the scouting action, I spend 1 command point for the strategic ploy Shh, that allows my operatives to dash. So, starting from the right side, one by one every single Ork and Grot dashes 3 inches forward, reaching the wall in front of them. On the left side, they dash towards the door at the end of the corridor and stop at the corner of the wall.
I reveal the Tac-Op, Seize or Incapacitate. I choose an enemy model, in my case I choose the Daka Boy. If I manage to eliminate him, I gain a victory point. Then I place a marker in his place. If at the end of the game I control the marker, I gain an additional victory point.
Terry, the comms, gives 1 AP to the knob beside him and then opens the door to let everybody inside the room.
The Revelatum, Exactant, opens the door leading to the upper room and moves next to the console, taking control of it.
Mayhem has a blocked door in front of him, so he passes his turn.
The Castigator, Unella, opens the door to the side corridor and moves to try to get to the other room quickly.
Arnold, like his friend beside him, can't do anything, so he passes his turn.
I reveal the Tabletop Gather Evidence. The Malocator, the Revelatum and the Mastiff can perform the action Gather Evidence on points of interest. If the models that perform the action survive the battle, I earn victory points. The Malocator is right next to the console, so it does the Tabletop action.
Chuck, the knob, can give an additional AP to a friendly operative for free when activated. So he gives it to the grot, and then he moves inside the room and places a demolition charge on the wall in front of him.
The Leashmaster activates and opens the corridor door, leaving the entrance free. He then moves next to the dog and gives the swift attack pattern to the Mastiff, increasing his movement by 1 circle. Woof, the Mastiff, activates immediately afterwards, thanks to their special activation rule, and being next to the console, he performs the action Gather Evidence. Once completed, the dog moves to the other room next to the Revelatum.
Doe uses movement and dash to get closer to the door at the end of the corridor.
Rod, the Marksman, opens the door in front of him, then silently moves into a good position to take aim at the wall from which the Orks might enter.
Jackie reaches the squig with movement and dash.
The gunner with the Weber has no targets in sight, so he passes the turn.
Jason uses movement and dash to reach the others at the end of the corridor.
Dominic, with movement and dash, crosses the room and stands in the corner, looking for a quiet place to be.
And the Burna Boy slowly reaches the others with movement and dash.
The leader, Shane, has heard noises coming from the next corridor and decides to go and check. So he opens the door and finds himself facing a group of orcs. Well, look who's here.
Erwin opens the door in front of him and goes inside the room.
Now it's time to take the action that could change the outcome of the game with a success or a fail. Opening the door was a risky move, but I want to try just because of how epic it is. The gunner with the grenade launcher moves into a position where he can target the squig and opens fire on it, making 4 shots at 4+. 3 normal hits! Great!
Ah, this will hurt. -1 penetration, so saving with 2 dice at 6. Ah, that's a problem. Rolling a dice, with 4+, Doe explodes. Fantastic. My bomb squig makes a shooting attack against every operative within 2 inches of him. In this case, every orc near him. That's 4 shots at 3+, starting with the boy that's closer to him, 1 crit and 3 normal hits. With -2 penetration, he's straight up dead. The second target is the slasher boy, 4 more shots at 3+, 1 crit and 2 normal hits. Rolling 1 dice at 5+ to save him. Nope. Now the Burna Boy. 2 crits and 2 normal hits. I think the bomb squig has never dealt so many wounds. My right flank is vanished. This is definitely the worst start ever.
Oh my god! This was one of the funniest actions ever done so far! It was crazy! Your entire left flank evaporated in 1 shot!
Jeff shoots his grappling hook at the console on the other side of the room and flies to the point of interest. Once there, he does the mission action Recover Archives. With additional AP, he detonates the charge on the wall near the knob, opening a passage in the room.
The second Subductor, Theon, moves into the room and removes the hatchway jammer and opens the door, confident that there are no more dangers inside in this area.
Richard moves through the blasted wall and once inside the room, shoots the enemy with a shield, making 5 attacks at 4+. Just a 6. I hit every single shot against my operatives and only 1 against the enemies. What a game!
2 dice at 3+ to defend. Both saved, not bad. Unfortunately, however, he suffers 1 mortal wound for the Splash 1 special rule.
Do I really need to commentate? Luckily for me, this mission only requires me to do just 1 more mission action to gain a lot of victory points. The only thing I need to do is don't let Simone score victory points from his stack hopes and I should be okay.
Well, guys, what can I say? This round for me was the most fun first round ever played on this channel. I thought I could eliminate the bomb squig and inflict some wounds on the orcs next to it. My plan was to eliminate at least the bomb squig. I never thought I could cause so much damage in 1 shot. I feel a little guilty. Andrea will have to play with half of his kill team now, but damn, it was epic.
In the strategic phase, I spam 1 command point for the strategic ploy Daka Daka Daka. Every time that my operatives shoot, if I retain any critical hit, I can select a failed hit dice and modify it as a successful one.
I use a command point for inviolate jurisdiction instead. If my operatives position near points of interest or enemy models are targeted by a shooting attack, I can reroll a defense dice.
Chuck activates and gives 1 AP to the Rocket Boy. Then he throws a smoke grenade in the room to stop the enemies from shooting. With his last action, he charges the enemy shield in the corner of the room.
The Leashmaster enters the room where there is action, and thanks to my kill team special rule, Ruthless Efficiency, he can shoot the orc in front of him even if the enemy model is in combat. This rule also provides penetration 1 on the critical hit, 4 shots at 3+. 2 critical hits and 1 normal, this hurts!
-1 penetration, so saving with 2 dice at 4+. Just a 6. 8 wounds through.
Well done! As a free action, Tyler changes the dog's attack pattern to aggressive, giving him the special rule Relentless. The dog receives the order and activates and charges the orc with the missile launcher. Then, once in combat, Wolf uses the ability Apprehend, inflicting D3 mortal wounds. 1 wound inflicted.
9 wounds left to Richard. Erwin can't do anything from there, so he charges the dog and fights with him, making 3 attacks at 2+, thanks to his friend in combat with him. Just 2 normal hits.
4 attacks at 4+ for Wolf. Terrible, only 1 critical hit. With Relentless, I can reroll all the dice. Nope, a critical hit.
Erwin deals damage with his first attack.
With the only dice at my disposal, I defend an attack. 3 wounds taken by Wolf. Is that what you do? Do you attack dogs now?
What? They're orcs.
Body moves into the other room and aims his Weber at the orc leader, firing 5 shots at him at 3+. 4 hits, 1 critical.
No penetration this time, so saving with 3 dice at 4+. Just 1. Chuck is eliminated by a net. How is it possible? Richard activates and fights with the dog. 3 attacks at 2+. Rerolling 1 with a command point. Better, all hit.
4 attacks at 4+. I rerolled the 2 failed dice. 2 critical attacks and 2 normal.
Richard starts the fight dealing damage with the first attack.
All I have to do is deal damage with a critical attack.
And the Rocket Boy eliminates the enemy.
Sorry Wolf, these orcs are really rude.
4 wounds left to Richard. After the fight, he opens the jam door for his friends and then moves through the smoke and reaches the console in the middle of the room.
The Subductor is now free to move and decides to charge the Orc Sniper, positioning himself so as to hinder the movements of the other orcs waiting outside the room. Then he fights with the Shock Maul in defensive mode, thanks to which he can always start the fights first, and when parrying an attack, he removes 2 opponent dice instead of 1. 4 attacks at 4+. Only 1 successful attack.
Nice, rolling 3 dice at 3+. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that was easy. Dominic deals 4 damage.
6 wounds left to Erwin. Now that the door is open, Arnold fights through the hatch with the shield bearer.
To fight, I again choose the defensive mode, which allows me to attack first. 4 attacks at 4+. I use a command point to reroll a dice. Nope, never mind. 2 normal attacks.
Arnold makes 3 attacks at 2 since his friend is in combat with the same target. Just a 5.
The Subductor deals damage.
And Arnold defends with his own attack. 6 wounds left to this orc.
The Revelatum changes the order to engage and carries out the tackle action. Then, with the second action, he charges the orc next to the console to prevent the other orcs from shooting at him.
Terry wants to help, so he moves to the other entrance and fights with the enemy that's blocking the passage.
Also in this fight, the Subductor goes first, 4 attacks at 4+. 1 critical attack and 1 normal attack.
And Terry responds with 3 dice at 2+. All hit, finally!
With the critical dice, I parry the critical attack, plus an additional normal 1, thanks to his defense rule.
Terry deals damage with the last dice.
Dominic deals damage with the last dice.
Like the others, Terry is left with 6 wounds.
3 wounds suffered by the Subductor, he is left with 4. The Marksman has no targets to shoot at, so he goes out into the corridor and positions himself where he can see the orcs.
Mayhem spots the enemy sniper running on the other side of the battlefield and decides to shoot him. He makes 5 shots at 4+. 1 crit and 2 normal hits.
3 dice at 4+ to save. Ouch! Only 1 is saved. 7 wounds taken. Thank goodness GW added a wound to the Arbites. 1 wound left.
With his second action, Mayhem tries to eliminate the Arbites in front of the door.
Once again, the Subductor begins the fight, making 4 attacks at 4+. Not very good, just 1.
Rolling 3 dice at 3+. All hit!
Thanks to his ability, Dominic defends with his dice and removes 2 of the opponent's dice.
And the Dakka boy deals damage.
It's amazing that this Subductor is still alive, 1 wound left. The Castigator with movement and dash crosses the room until he reaches the other door.
Jeff moves closer to the wall and places a charge.
Theo sees his companion in difficulty and runs to help him, protecting him with his shield. How kind.
And Mayhem shoots him with the Overwatch. 5 more shots at 5+ this time. Oh wow! Thanks to Dakka, that's 3 critical hits and 2 normal hits. Amazing roll.
Oh, okay. I need to save 3 critical hits. I don't think I can do it. There you have it. He's eliminated. Theo falls on his shield, dying heroically to defend his friend. In reality they had some disagreements, but you know, on a mission you have to put them aside, right? The Malocator crosses the corridor quickly, trying to reach his companions as soon as possible. The Gunner also runs in the same direction. There isn't much more to do in this area. The leader, however, stays behind to check the 2 points of interest, to avoid unpleasant surprises from the grot.
This round would have been really nice if that Arbites with the shield had been eliminated, but apparently he's immortal. Let's hope I can eliminate him the next round before it's too late. At the end of the turn, since I have lost less operatives than Simone, I can reveal the attack of execution. If also in the next turn I manage to lose less operatives than Simone, I gain 1 victory point.
I'm pretty happy with this turn. It's crazy that this Subductor attacked from all sides is still alive. He's fighting 4 Orks alone with his shield. If there is an MVP of this game, it's definitely him. Now that I understand which point of interest Andrea has chosen, I have to do everything to prevent him from controlling it.
In this turn, I spend 2 command points for the strategic ploys Dakka and Warg. The first is the same I used the last round, while the second improves the fight rolls of my Orks. If they retain at least 2 normal hits, one of them can be modified in a critical hit. Since the effect of the smoke grenade of the previous round ended, Terry uses his in the same place as the other one, and then fights with the damn shield.
Dominic starts fighting first, for attacks at 5+. Only one. This time it's difficult.
Terry makes 3 attacks at 2+. Yes, 2 normal hits that become 1 crit and 1 normal.
Too bad! I can't parry the critical dice. I'm forced to do damage.
And finally, Terry eliminates the enemy.
I hoped until the end, but you almost made it alive. You are great.
Terry is down to 2 wounds and injured.
The Gunner moves to the other side of the room to try to avoid the smoke bomb, then finally sees an Ork and shoots him with the Weber. 5 shots at 3+. 3 hits.
Saving 1 automatically thanks to the cover and 2 dice at 5+. Just a critical save. 2 wounds to Arnold. He's now injured and stunned, so he has 1 AP less. Erwin moves outside the smoke and shoots 6 shots at 3+ on the Leashmaster. All wound with 2 critical hits. Nice!
I get it. He's dead. I don't even need to roll the dice. How much violence though? Unella, the Castigator, charges the sniper near the console. Once she arrives, she fights against him, making 4 attacks at 3+. A critical attack and a normal attack that turns into a critical attack thanks to the rule rending, so 2 critical attacks.
Erwin does 3 attacks at 3+. All hit, of which 1 becomes a critical hit.
With the first critical dice, I deal damage, and thanks to the stun rule, I remove an opponent's dice.
The Ork parries the other crit and then deals damage with the last attack.
The Castigator can ignore wounds taken at 6. 1 wound ignored, 6 wounds left for Unella.
2 wounds left to Erwin. He's injured, but still alive. Arnold, with his only action, charges the Arbites in combat with the Rocket Boy.
The Marksman wants to avenge his friend, and shoots the Dakka Boy. 4 shots at 4+ for the injury. 1 critical hit and 1 normal hit.
Saving with 3 dice at 5+. Only a 6. That parries the normal hit since the crit deals only 1 wound. 6 wounds left to Mayhem. Richard fights with the Revelatum and makes 3 attacks at 3+. Just a 6.
3 attacks at 4+ for the Revelatum. Oh look! I got a 6 too!
Well, Richard deals damage with this attack.
Okay, then I do damage too. 4 wounds left for you, my little friend.
2 wounds left to Richard.
I use a command point for Exact Punishment. The Revelatum can take a free fight action in response to the Ork's attack. 4 attacks at 3+. 2 normal attacks, but they are enough to eliminate the Ork.
I don't even need to roll. Richard leaves the battlefield.
The Malocator continues his run and finally arrives in front of the door.
Mayhem can finally enter the room and position it himself in front of the guy that shoots webs. And no, I'm not talking about Spider-Man. With his second action, he does the Dakka dash that allows him to shoot and dash. he makes 5 shots at 4+, and since he's within 6 inches of his target, he can reroll every dice. Rerolling all the failed dice. Thanks to Dakka Dakka Dakka, that's 3 normal hits and a critical.
3 dice at 4+ for the gunner. What? He's clearly dead. He's definitely not Spider-Man.
And Mayhem dashes forward.
Radel moves forward and reaches the console in the room. I wouldn't want the Grot to jump there and do the mission.
Jeff passes his turn.
My leader would not be able to get to the room in time, so he passes the turn.
Mayhem shoots Overwatch on the Arbites behind the door. 5 shots at 5+. Rerolling the failed dice. 3 normal hits.
3 dice at 4+ to defend. Oh nice! 2 6s! 5 wounds left to Yohun. He did well. The Revelatum is in a difficult but equally useful position, so he passes the turn.
Okay, in this turn, I have eliminated more operatives than I have lost, so I gain 1 victory point for the TAC-op execution. Now, I only need to do the mission action on the console, and I should be able to win the game.
The matter is starting to get complicated. There are more and more orcs in the room, and I have fewer and fewer models to defend it. My operatives are all around the map, and I don't have the chance to exploit my numerical superiority. I'll have to go all out in the next turn with the few models I have left in that room. I can do it.
In this strategy phase, no one uses strategic ploys, so we can go straight to the firefight phase. Mayhem activates and shoots again the Arbites behind the door and makes 5 attacks at 4+. Rerolling the failed dice. 4 hit.
I need to save all 3 dice at 4+ for him to survive. Ah! Almost! I used a command point to reroll the failed dice. No! Damn! I almost did it! The Malocator also leaves the battlefield.
With his second action, the Dakka boy charges the Castigator to help his friend in combat.
The gunner with the grenade launcher moves to get inside of the Dakka boy and shoots him, making 4 shots at 4+. 1 critical hit and 1 normal hit.
-1 penetration, so save him with 5+. Not even 1. Mayhem is too important, so I spend 1 command point for the tactical ploy, just a scratch, and ignore the damage of the critical hit. He's down to 2 wounds and has a scratch. Then reactivates and jumps over the barrier to reach the console with movement and dash. Then, thanks to his ability I got a plan lads, he does the mission action Recover Archives for free.
The Marksman has no one inside, and with a heavy weapon he can't move much, so he passes the turn.
A real orc never flees from a fight, so Erwin fights with the Castigator. 3 attacks at 3+. 1 crit and a normal hit.
The Castigator fights in turn, making 4 attacks at 3+. 1 critical hit and 2 normal hits, one of which becomes critical for the rending rule.
Ouch. Erwin deals damage with a crit.
With her remaining attacks, Unella smashes the orc, then tries to ignore the wounds taken at 6. 1 wound ignored, so Unella is left with 3 wounds. Shame.
My sniper is removed from the battlefield.
The Castigator is still out for blood, so she decides to fight against the Dakka boy. 4 attacks at 3+, thanks to the ability that allows her to ignore characteristic modifiers, including those of weapons. And luckily she can ignore them. 3 successful attacks.
Oh well. You did your job, Mayhem. You can live happy.
I've finally eliminated the target of my TAC-op, seize or incapacitate, so I'm leaving a marker in its place. Then Unella uses her second available action to pick up the marker and keep it under control.
Arnold fights with the Arbites in front of him and makes 3 attacks at 4+. Hit!
Damn, even the Revelatum is dead. As before, this turn too my leader passes.
Jeff also passes his turn, and with this, the Orks win the battle. What an incredible game! I had the worst start I could have ever imagined, but fortunately, the mission helped me a lot. Simone had to waste time bringing every operative from one room to another, and it gave me the possibility to take control of the console. The bad rolls almost cost me the game. I guess I'll need to train better those orcs before bringing them in the next battle.
What an exciting game! It really ended at the last dice roll. If Andre had failed in the last attack and the Revelatum had survived, I could have won the game. This mission is not easy to play for the defender, not knowing which consoles the attacker has chosen and the inability to access the central room make the defense really complex. But all in all, I'm satisfied. Plus, the bomb squeak explosion event was worth the whole game. Before finishing, we would like to take a moment to thank our members who have decided to support us on Patreon. And if you guys want to support the channel and enjoy an additional and exclusive battle report per month, or see your models showcased in our videos, the Patreon link is in the description. We are waiting for you on Discord.
And if you have come this far, write the words friendly fire in the comments to let us know. You are the best. And if you are not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, leave a like and write us in the comments. We are always curious to know what you think.
That's it, guys!
See you next video!